Recently, or somewhat recently, I was asked to make a rope sort of dynamically pull apart and fray for a client. And I didn't find a lot of information out there on exactly how to do that. I mean, I saw some vellum stuff for like tearing like jellies and stuff like that, but nothing like specifically for ropes. And the look that I was kind of going for was something like this, where you actually have, it kind of frays apart at the edges as it pulls apart, and you get to see these little strands and everything. That's what the client wanted. So it took some experimentation, but eventually I figured it out. So I figured it would be a good tutorial to make because I didn't really see much of that information out there. So that's kind of what we're going to be making. So I'm probably going to break this into two parts here. The first part will just be like setting up the rope and how to design it and model it. And then the second part will be like actually how to simulate, just so it's not like a super long tutorial. It's nothing super overly complicated. It just can be a little bit time consuming with just kind of building the rope, but it's not too bad. So if you look at the reference here, you can see that ropes are made up of there's just lots of little fibers that are sort of twisted into, like little ropes. You see how there's you kind of see these separation. Like each one of these little things is not one strand. Each one of those is like 50 strands twisted together. And then you make these little small ropes and then you sort of twist those together to make these sort of like bigger, larger features. So knowing that, that's kind of what we're going to be doing. You can see that again here. You can see these like twisted together little ropes here that are all kind of twisting together to make one larger strand. And that's what's going to give us, the more little fibers that we have, the more fraying pieces we're going to have. It's going to look a lot more like realistic and really cool. So I'll be showing you guys how to make this here. So without further ado, let's get started here. So if you open up Houdini, let's put down a geo, call it rope, and it's pretty simple. We are going to just use a line, and one across is fine. Let's put this in the X direction. Just leave it one. Okay, and then let's resample this. Just get that like 0.001 or something like that. A few more points in there. Okay, cool. And then let's match size, just so we can kind of center it up here. So basically, this is going to be the basis for our rope. We're going to start with this sort of center line, and then we're going to be building little spirals around it. So it's actually pretty easy to model a rope. So what you can do is you use the sweep node, and you can set it to round tube, but instead of just making it a tube, you can change this quadrilaterals thing to columns. So it gives you these just basically columns. And then what you can do is you can twist them. So you can come down here to rotation and do full twists. Just put in like 5 or do whatever you want there. So you can use this to sort of adjust like how tightly wound your rope is. I found for my purposes a value of 5 worked pretty well. And then in terms of the radius, I wanted this to be small because I'm basically starting by building the core of the rope, and then I'm going to start kind of building the strands around it to make it thicker and thicker and thicker. So let's do something like 15 columns with a radius of 0.0056, I believe. Oop, shit, get that out of there. So pretty small. So we have this kind of little twisty thing. Then what we can do is we can put down another sweep node, and we can sweep those points again with a round tube and columns. And let's use 10 columns. So we're making each one of these things now is its own little twisted strand. So we can make the radius of those pretty small or large, do whatever we want. I'm going to use, I found that for my purposes, a value of 0.0021 worked pretty well with 21 full twists. So you can make it whatever you want. These numbers are totally arbitrary. I think just for what ended up looking good for mine and working well for the simulation was this, but you can do whatever you want with your numbers. So this is kind of hard to see what's happening right now because everything's all white. So let's put down a connectivity. I like to use these sometimes just to give myself this class attribute that I can then click here and click on, and it gives everything its own, each primitive its own color. It kind of helps to separate things like this to kind of see what's happening a little better. And you could even just put down another sweep. We'll delete this in a second, but I just want to show you. It kind of shows you the hell it is you're actually doing. And let's change the radius down to like something really small so you can actually kind of see each fiber and what it's doing. So we have like a few separate little circles here, each that has been like swept with like a spiral of ropes. So this is going to be our inner core. Okay? And then, so what we want to do now is we're going to, once again, let's just match size to make sure, actually we can get rid of this sweep here. Match size to keep it in the middle. And then we want to clip it on either side here. So let's do clip. And I don't want this here. I want this, where are we at here? Just want to clip off the ends to make them, damn it. Where did it go? Here we go. Just kind of get rid of these. You can see it's kind of like all snaggly there. I want this to be perfectly flat because we're going to need that for later for, let's do like a value of negative 0.4943. Cool. And then we'll do that on the other side as well. Just copy this and then we'll just change it to positive and then make sure that the keep is primitives below the plane. So now we should have two equally flat sides right there. So we're going to need that later for when we use like a vellum attach to attach something to the ends to make them pull apart. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to clip it right down the center. Clip. And we want to go like this. So clip one side. And then we're going to duplicate this over here. And we're going to change it to primitives below the plane. So we're going to create ourselves a little group called left side and right side. So this will be the left side here. This will be, let's start with this side. So let's put down a group. And we want this to be points. And we just want to group just these ones right in the middle here. So we'll just use an expression here. We'll just use at p equals, or sorry, at p dot x equals 0. What the fuck? Why is this typing an exclamation point when I'm typing in equals? That's really strange. I'm pushing the equals button, but it's typing exclamation points. Okay, and now it's typing a question mark. That's freaking weird. 1 second. Let me figure out what the hell's going on with my keyboard. Okay, so back here, we're trying to make a group. We want at p.x equals 0. Okay, so it's only going to group these points right here in the middle at 0. And we're going to call the group r side. Okay, and then we'll just duplicate this. And it's already got the little code that we need there to group exactly the ones in the middle. And we're just going to call it L side. So we'll need this later to weld these together here. So let's merge them. And we have our finished core here. Okay, so basically we're going to do the exact same thing a few times to sort of start building a series of little ropes around this thing to make it thicker and much more complex so that the simulation looks a lot cooler. Okay, so let's just take this and we can duplicate some of this stuff here. So let's take from the match size down, we'll take all these sweeps here. Let's go like this. Actually, we're gonna just take these here, copy them over there. Okay, and then for this one, we want to make it a little bigger. So we're gonna go 0.016. So that makes it just a little bit wider. Okay, we're gonna keep the full twists at 5, and the columns, this time we want 5. So we're gonna make these are gonna be like broader ropes here, okay? Then this sweep here, we can change the columns to 24, so they're a little more tightly wound. And then we want this to be 0.0073. So now we've kind of created these thicker ropes, which you can see here. There, cool. And for the twists, on this one actually, I found that it looks more natural if you make it negative. So it's negative 21. If we put down another sweep here, let's just do round 2 and change radius down, something like that. So this is what it looks like if you make it positive, which for the middle one, it's fine. You're not really going to see that one too much. You just kind of need something there. But it ends up just looking like these. I found at the end simulation, it looked very like vertical and flat when I really want it to be more looking like it's sort of woven in. So the negative one makes it feel, it was more true to the references I was looking at, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so, and then I like to, we can get rid of these here, or get rid of this here. I'm just going to put down a color and make it like green or something. So I can kind of colorize the different layers here. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, for this one, we are going to make it, it's the same actually, 0.016, and then we want 5 full twists again. The only thing we're going to be changing here is we're going to be changing this guy right here. We're going to make this just a little skinnier. So if you look, maybe I should just leave the freaking sweep node on so you can just see it the whole time. That would be cool. So I don't have to keep putting this down like a fucking idiot. Okay, round 2. Something like that. Okay, so originally we've made this, where we have this, but it's hollow on the inside. We need each of these to be like completely filled with ropes. I found through my experimentations that when these are hollow, the vellum sim, it makes the rope look really just sort of like loose and floppy, and you want it to feel like really tightly wound so that those little fibers really snap apart and fray. That was really helpful. So that was a key, is to like filling these things up. So basically we're duplicating the exact same thing in the exact same position, but then the second one, we're going to make the radius 0.0064. So it's like right there. You see that? Cool. And we can change, we can do the roll just a little bit. We can do like 5.4 just to kind of offset it just a little bit. Okay, cool. So then let's do the same thing, or we can change the color here to something different. Let's make it orange for later on down the road. We can see these colors in the simulation and figure out which layers are snapping. Okay, same thing here. We want to just adjust the second sweep here and make it 0.0052. Again, these are arbitrary values. I really just eyeballed these to kind of, each one of these when I put them down, I was just kind of like adjusting it to make them feel like they're kind of right next to each other. And then just keep doing this a few times, so duplicate it again. Okay, maybe this color, we'll make this like blue. And this one will be like purple or something. Okay, let's put this here. And then this last one here, we want it to be 0.004. And maybe we can adjust the roll a little bit just to kind of offset it. So like 13.1, something like that, okay? And so basically we're just gonna keep doing this until this is fully filled. I might fast forward here for a second so you don't have to see it. Let's do one more. This one will be 0.0028, right? Yep, cool. And then you're noticing that these are starting to intersect a little bit. We probably need to adjust the columns a little bit. So make it a little lower, make it like 16. So as you start getting closer to the center, you may need to remove some of these. So maybe let's go like 23 on the one before, just so there's kind of a little more space in between them. Okay, and then let's make the color on this like, I don't know, this color, whatever. Okay, and then let's do one more. And let's make that, where are we here? 0.0015 with 9 columns. And yeah, cool. Okay, great. So we've got this rope built here. So this is sort of like our second layer. So we've got our core here, and then we've got this one around it, right? Let me just merge these so you can see. So we've got our core in the center there, and then we've got some ropes around it. Cool. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to build an even bigger one around this one. And that'll be our last like fat outer roll here. Okay, so we can just like put a null here and just put like, let's call it inner. Make it black. I like to make my nulls black just because it's a color that's not commonly used. Call this mid. Okay, and then we'll make an outer here too. We're also going to need to do this inside outside thing here, which we can do that. We'll do that in a minute here. Actually, let's just take it and do it. So we can grab all these, duplicate them, get rid of this. Damn it. So same thing, we're clipping it on either side, and then we're creating those groups. We got R side 1 and L side 1. That's fine. So cool, we'll need those later, and then we'll just call this mid. Okay, great. Save that. Okay, on to the next one. So same thing. We want to use this same line, and let's do like this. Just come over here, put down a null, so we have something over here to kind of start with. Okay, and we'll do a sweep. Actually, why don't we just copy one of these. So this one, we're going to make it have 40 columns with a radius of 0.0087, like that, and it's going to have negative 21 in the full twists there. Okay, and we'll just color this something. Make it, I don't know, green. Okay, and then we're going to duplicate it. And this one will have, I found a value of, let's see, 27 columns with a radius of 0.0077. Okay, and we can merge these so we can start to see what we're doing here. And let's make the color on this one red. Oh shit, I just did that to both of them. Cool, so now we can see we've got starting to build up some little outer things here. Okay, same thing, duplicate it. We'll make this have 30 columns with a radius of 0.0065. And let's make this dark blue. Okay, and then same thing. There's probably a way, I'm certain that there is like a way more procedural way to do this, but I never claimed that the way I'm doing it is the best, most correct way. It's just the way that I did it, and it's the way that I found that worked. So take it or leave it. I'm not always using the most, sometimes it's easier for me to just like brute force my way through something instead of spending like 3 days trying to figure out how to make something procedural when I know that I can just do it manually really quickly, especially when I'm trying to figure out something new for a client on a deadline. I don't always have time to just like spend hours trying to make something procedural just for the sake of being procedural. So sometimes it's just like, you know what, fuck it, I don't care. I'm just gonna quickly make what I need to do and do it. Okay, so got that. Let's make this like yellow. Okay, let's make this one purple. All right, let's do one more. So we're kind of building our structure here. It's 24.442, yep. Okay, so this one needs to be 0.0032. Okay, and then we'll make one more. This one can be, oh sure, let's make this 13 columns, and this one here will be 18 columns. Kind of get fewer and fewer as you get towards the center, so they're not intersecting with one another. This one's will have 24 columns, and it needs to be columns. Okay, cool. So this last one here, where am I at? So I'm just looking at my notes here. This last one here should have 6 columns and see be 0.0011. Okay, so we merge them all together. Something I forgot actually up here, so this will make a lot more sense what we're doing here now that I'm going to show you this, is we forgot to put another sweep node up here. So what we want up here, this should be the original, and each one of these we're sweeping. So we want this to have, we want it to be round 2, and again, columns, and it should have 8 columns with a radius of 0.033. Okay, and then we need this to be 5 full twists. Cool. So basically each one of these things down here was supposed to be the individual fibers that are making up these like larger ones. So we've done what we did before, where we sort of made them consecutively inset towards the center of each fiber. Okay, and then once again we will need this stuff here. So let's just copy that. We're clipping the sides off, making sure everything's the same length, and then we're creating R side here and L side 2 there and merging it, and then we'll put down a null and call this outer. Make it black. Okay, so just as a recap, to show you what we've done, we got the inner, we've got the mid, and we've got the outer here, and we're going to connect it to this sweep so we can see what the hell we're doing. What have I done? Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Let's make this radius. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, but you can see we've got these like larger features on the outside that make up these twisting ropes, and then we've got this sort of mid core, and then this little central core. So that's going to give us lots of little fibers to pull apart, which is the trick to making it feel really realistic, is have like lots of detail there. Okay, so that's pretty much it for setting up the rope part. Let's do a few more things. I'll just kind of setting things up, and then we'll do the simulation part in the next tutorial. So for now, let's just leave that alone. One thing I'd like to create is the colliders on either side. So let's put down a, let's kind of move off to the side here, and put down a tube, and we are going to make this, let's put it on its y-axis. Yeah, that's fine. And we'll do, make sure we have end caps on it, and 0.610675. I don't know why I did that. Okay, and let's template our rope here. This collider, we can just flip it on its, I don't know why I did that. But turn it like this, okay, and then put down a transform and bring it, let's put spacebar 3 so we can see the top view, and bring it to the side so that it's just basically barely touching that, like right there. Okay, and then we're going to do the same on the other side here. We'll just take another transform, and we'll just make this the opposite. So if we merge these together, we should have both just barely touching each side. Okay, and we want to animate this so that they pull apart. So what I'd like to do is take this one, copy parameter, and do paste relative references, but put a minus on it so that it stays on the other side. So that way, whatever I do to this one here, I can move this around and they both kind of equally do everything like that. So I'll give it a little bit of wiggle room here, and let's do like maybe at like frame 15. Let's drop a keyframe and then come to like, I don't know, 120, and go just animate it slowly pulling apart like that. And then if we open this up, let's make this linear. And then I like to just do, if I hit Alt-E, it opens up this little channel properties, and I can change what it does afterwards. I'll change it from extend to slope, which you can see it just makes it keep going at the same rate. That way I don't have to keyframe it. So we'll try that. We'll see how that works. So we've got our little collider here, and then I want to create a group here, which is going to be a primitive group, and we'll just call it collider. And then, or just call it call, and then we'll make a null, which is out collider. So we're going to need that for our vellum attach. So basically we're going to be using vellum to attach the ends of these things, which we've grouped, to these colliders, and then it's going to pull apart and really stretch our rope. And then we have this split in the middle here that we've created little groups for, which we're going to weld together, and then we'll have the welds break according to an attribute as these get pulled apart, and it's going to look really cool. So that is pretty much it for the rope building tutorial part 1, and then the next one we're going to start building out, I'll show you guys how to use mops to kind of create some fall-offs here that we can have this sort of dynamically fray apart. And I'll show you a few little tricks I learned that really helped me art direct the look of making it fray and not just having it sort of pull apart from left to right. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.